Hi, welcome. I want to discuss the books that I have read last month. Some of them I have started months ago and have finished this month. And the first that I've read and finished is the Decameron by Boccaccio. This is a collection of short stories and it really reminded me of the Arabian Nights. It's about a group of people who come together in a villa in Florence to escape the Black Death. These stories are all so shocking and extreme that I was surprised that this wasn't banned. Maybe it was, but I couldn't find any proof of that. It is a very enjoyable and funny collection of short stories, but after a while I was really done with it. As you can see, it's a it's kind of a big book. The Everyman's Library edition is 655 pages. So yes, a lot of short stories, and after a while it gets a bit repetitive. But overall, I highly recommend this and I really enjoyed it. Next, I finished a reread of Unfinished Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien. I lived in the belief that this was my favorite, but after rereading it, I am convinced that it will make my top 3 of all the books that I'm going to read by Tolkien. At the moment, I am working my way through Byron and Luthien by Tolkien, and I am enjoying that one much more, I must say, than Unfinished Tales. Okay. The next one is Byron's Travels in this Everyman's Library edition, which is stunning. The back is also beautiful. And this is written by Lord Byron himself. It's a collection of his poems, his letters, and his journals. And they go chronologically, which I really enjoyed because the poems are also ordered in a way that it matches his letters. I enjoyed his journals most of all. I discovered that I'm not really that fond of his poetry. Now it's very clear that he was rich. He did nothing but travel and write poetry. He didn't have to worry about money at all. He loved swimming and he was really proud at how far he could swim. And he says it himself, I quote, "The misery of doing nothing but make love, enemies, and verses." In the introduction, there is a quote by William Wordsworth about poetry, and I want to read it to you. His definition of poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. That is just so beautiful. It's the most beautiful description I've ever heard about poetry. Now, there was this section where Byron was describing how many books he had read, and I kept thinking and thinking about it. I couldn't get it out of my head because it was so extravagant. So he said he already read 4,000 books at the age of 19. Now, when you do the math, that is like humanly impossible. I think you would have to read 2 books from the day you were born. And so I looked into this further, and he was known to really exaggerate. And I think this is one of his exaggerations. This was really enjoyable, and despite the length, because it's a really big one, I wasn't bored. Next, I read a short story from this volume by Leo Tolstoy, and I have read, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Sevastopol. This is a short story about the horrors of war. It's a record of Tolstoy's experiences during the previous year's siege of Sevastopol in Crimea. It's a longer story. I think it was about 100 pages. Let me check. It's 125 pages. Next, I continued my philosophy journey. I have read Plato's Symposium in the Oxford World's Classics edition. In ancient Greece, a symposium meant part of a banquet that took place after the meal. And here we have several characters, including Socrates, having discussions about love. Next, I have also tackled Phaedo by Plato, also in an Oxford World's Classics edition. Here, Socrates is locked in his cell. He is going to die, and his friends are allowed to meet him there and have a final conversation. And Socrates doesn't want his friends to be grieved because a true philosopher shouldn't fear death. He will only be deprived of his body, but his soul will live on. Next, I have also read 1793 by Victor Hugo. This novel is about the counter-revolutionary uprisings of 1793 taking place during the French Revolution. One of the storylines that we follow is a woman who lost her 3 children, and she is determined to find them again. And this part of the story was done extremely well. Overall, I enjoyed it, but this is one of those Hugo novels that I probably will not read again. And then the final book that I've read, and that we've read with the book club actually, was North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I have read the Penguin Classics edition, and we kind of all felt the same in the book club about this. It was an enjoyable novel, but I don't think that I will read it again. While it was enjoyable overall, I did have a lot of not enjoyable moments while reading this. I made a lot of notes, and I do want to have a deeper discussion about this novel, so I will be talking about this on the channel in the future. The writing is accessible, brilliant, easy to read, and I would recommend this to people who love reading Victorian romance novels. Then I also want to mention Bel-Ami by Guy de Maupassant. I read this with the book club in February, and I forgot to mention it in my video last month, so I'm doing that now. Guy de Maupassant is an incredible writer. I had read Bel-Ami before, and it was just a joy to return to this story. This is about a man who doesn't have a penny, so he starts his life penniless, and he wants to work his way up. So this is about a man who is never content, and who's greedy and unlikable, and he remains unlikable throughout the entire novel. So that's something that you have to like, but I personally really love Bel-Ami. Please let me know if you have read any of these works, and I will see you next week. This is a collection of short stories, and gosh, Toulouse. Weet u meer? Kom aan, schat.